as we continue. So that's what we're doing in these streets. People are having a lot of conversation about the definition of a bonnet and what that looks like, because this picture of these women, about 5 women in an airport wearing a bonnet, has hit the internet. Plies has said something. It's been on every blog you can imagine, but
everybody's mad.
Bonnets in the home outside the home, are they how are we feeling about them? Because
all right, so I'm gonna apologize.
Can I guess?
At the top?
Can I guess what you are? Because I know what you are.
Oh,
can I guess?
Please guess.
You are absolutely not. We will not wear bonnets outside the home. Go ahead.
Hell to the motherfucking no. I am not. And okay, and you know what? A lot of this may come from my pageant background. And I think a lot of it comes from my mama, because my mom raised her children to always be presentable. And when you leave the house, when you leave your room, you leave the room dressed, you leave the room looking like you are ready for the day. But especially if you're going to go outside, even to go to the mailbox, but especially if you're going to, Publix, Kroger, the grocery store, Wegmans, you need to look like you belong to somebody. And for me, that definition is I'm at least going to put my hair in a ponytail and put on some clothes that look like clothes that you would wear outside. I always cringe when I see Black women walking around outside in their bonnets. And y'all can be mad at me if you want to. Bonnets don't belong outside. And I heard somebody say, if white people wore bonnets would be accepted.
Oh,
no, false, fake. That's some bullshit. Yes. Because white people do a whole bunch of nasty, crusty, rusty, untrustworthy ass shit that I would never do. And I grew up in the South with those white people. Okay, shout out to the Southern white people. I'm not doing that shit. So if white people were wearing bonnets outside, I would look at them and say, look at them crazy ass white people.
No, you would not.
Crazy white people shit.
Rooted in racism. That's the thing. This is all rooted in racism. Let's be very clear. I was raised not to wear the bonnet outside of the house, right? I will admit right here, if I got to run in the store to get some bananas, I'm not unwrapping this. This is going to stay in the damn bonnet, okay?
Then put a hat on. Put a hat on top of it.
No, because
I have a hood on it. My bonnet I wear my bonnet in the bed. I'm not going to wear my bonnet that I wear in the bed into the giant. I'm just not doing that. No, I'm gonna put a hat on. I'm gonna unwrap my hair and put it in a low pony.
Queen of the head.
Or I'm gonna Instacart so I don't have to leave the house. But I'm not going outside in my bonnet. I'm just not. I'm
sorry if I gotta get tampons real quick. I'm not unwrapping my hair. And secondarily, bonnets are rooted in racism, dead ass. Because again, if it was socially acceptable for white motherfuckers go to college and wear pajamas in class.
And I talk shit about those white people because y'all look stupid.
Okay, but it's culturally acceptable. So again, if
not in my house,
if it was culturally acceptable for white people, we would not even be having the fucking discussion.
No.
We would not. Mm-hmm. We would not be having the discussion. And while, again, I'm sitting here as a person who does not believe in going in the mall, going to the airport, wearing this shit long periods of time in public. Yeah, if I gotta go to my trash chute outside, bitch, you're damn right I'm keeping this goddamn bonnet on. If I gotta run downstairs to my car, you're damn right I'm keeping this fucking bonnet on. This shit is rooted in white.
Okay, going to the car, no. I can get with that. I go into the trash chute, I could maybe get with that. But if I'm getting in my vehicle and I'm riding down the road, I'm not wearing my bonnet. I'm not doing that. That's just not what I'm doing. That may be what you're doing. That's just not what I'm doing. So that's what we're not doing, is wearing our bonnets to the Giant, to the Kroger, to the Publix, to the Wegmans, to the Costco. We're not. I'm just not. I'm sorry. And I will not raise my children to do that either. And I just have to go back and say again, there are white people who do who crazy things, who walk around with no teeth and wearing I don't know, what just you all have seen the crazy shit that some white people do. And I look at them and say, look at those crazy white people. They are I would never do that, and I will raise my children to never do those things. So if they want to partake in the bonnets, then go right ahead. But it will still not be acceptable. As for me and my house, we serve the Lord, and we don't wear bonnets outside the house.
Boy, if you don't get your fucking ass out my face, because first of all, you're missing the fucking point. If it was a social norm that white people had to wrap their hair, we would not even be having the conversation. And I think that's what we're missing. It's going over your head wrap. It's not going over your head.
I hear that. But it's, for me, it is still about being presentable. And a bonnet is not presentable for me, whether it's acceptable in white society or not. And what I'm saying is, there are many things that white people do and say that are acceptable in society that I still would not do or say, because I think that they're trifling. I think that the things that those white people are doing is trifling. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, and I hear you saying that, but like, again, I just feel like, I mean, let's be real. Like, someone made the baseball cap normal. So again, societally speaking, if bonnets were an everybody, not just a black woman thing, I do not believe that it would be an issue. And so again, while I am not here for wearing your bonnet all throughout the mall and through the airport and which, my cousin made a good point, because she is a bonnet at the airport girl. And I said, girl, you trifling. But she said, listen, when I get to Miami, bitch, my hair will be laid and slayed. And I said, bitch,
that's fair. That's fair. And I've done that. I've gone to the airport, not in a bonnet, but I used to wrap my hair, and then I would put one of the mesh things with the Velcro on it, and then I would put the like the skull cap on top of that, all satin, because we don't do no cotton on it. I have a satin wrap underneath this. Okay, so we're not drying out our edges. But then I would put either a hat or some kind of something to cover that up, because for me, that the wrap is for the house, just like pajamas are for the house, just like not wearing a bra when you have big tiggo bitties, that's for the house. Hold on, Candiace. You don't want to see.
Excuse you? No. Did you go to Howard University where it's free the nipple? Because every bitch at Howard, like, there was bitches with bigger titties than me.
That was not me. I'm just in quarantine is when I freed my nipple. Before that, I would never leave the house without a bra. I always had a bra on. Always.
That's real old Howard of you, because new Howard, baby, the titties, the girls be out for the game. And it's not even on no sexual shit. I was just telling somebody the other day, like, when at Howard, every girl had their nipples out. Now, it was never me.
Yeah, not me.
My titties are too old for that. Not my ministry.
But it was long titties out too, though.
Long titties, short titties, round titties, triangle titties, square. Throwing up the outside,
hanging and swinging.
Okay. Titties to QUAD. Oh yeah. Quad titties.
Not quad titties.
Woo! Yeah.
My God.
You gotta watch this on YouTube to understand the reference. But yes, titties. I mean, all of it. So there was just no titty shaming at Howard. But my point is that I think that bonnets, I think the first thing is stop minding black women's business.
That's number one.
In-house we can do.
This is just a disclaimer. This is a kitchen table conversation that is being had amongst black women, amongst the community. If you ain't in the community, we ain't ask for your opinion respectfully. Mind your business.
Right. All right. And speaking of house, this is a good segue to get into this. So I saw this post and I posted it on my social media and did a survey. So the post says that parents really do body shame a lot and they never realize how damaging it is. And I asked people what they thought about it. 82% of the people said that they agree and 18% said they did not. I mean, this also goes to a tweet I saw a while ago that said most people's parents are their first bullies.
Yep.
And I was like, well, valid. But I think that comes to like a deeper conversation about, you know, what we do at home. Like one of the things that was a red flag, or not even a red flag, but kind of triggered something in me when we were just talking about the bonnets. You said, I was taught to not even leave my room without being presentable. And at home, I remember as a young girl, my mom would literally, like, let's just say I had a tank top and some drawers on. Now, mind you, I lived with my mom, so there were no men in the house. So there's not a thing of being like acceptable because you have a man in the home. It was just her and I, and she would really make me feel uncomfortable for being comfortable. And I feel like the only place you should be comfortable is in your home. And so, you know, I always said I was going to write a book about it, but hell, I put it on my podcast. I was going to write a blog about how sleeping naked changed my life. I am a nudist at home.
Really?
I sleep.
You don't be sweating?
No,
naked?
We have the AC high. We're in 50s right now. Okay.
No. The 50s?
Yeah, I like to be cold, and then
your thermostat is on 50?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh, Leah, I'm never coming to your house. I just want you to know that right now. Don't ever invite me over. I'm never coming over.
We have blankets. It's fine. You'll be fine. All my friends have there's blankets.
That is so disrespectful. And I live with a white man, and he don't even keep it that cold.
No, just because you're anemic, get your life together. Anyway,
I might be, but still,
But either way, sleeping naked was not something that I always did. When I was younger, I did feel like my mother was definitely just always about like covering and like modesty, and not even necessarily in the Christian way, but I just kind of felt like, honestly, it was used as a way to kind of keep me covered. And going back to the post of like putting things on you, like not wearing shirts that show your arms, or you're always having a little cami or a cover up, those type of things. And as I got older, I started to lose things. Like I remember going to school one day and a girl saying to me, like, they don't wear bras to sleep. And I always wore bras because I was put under the impression that you always cover up. So I didn't feel comfortable sleeping without a bra. What? And so as in middle school talked about it, I tried it without a bra. And the first time it was uncomfortable. But after a while, I was like, why have I never not taken off a bra before? Like, what the hell? So then as time went on, I lost more articles of clothing until the point of nakedness, which is when I felt like it was almost symbolic of the freedom that I could finally feel at home and in my own space. And so now, as soon as I hit the door, I'm nude. But I'm a nudist, like dead ass. So, you know, if you peep in my blinds, you're going to see some ass. That sleeping naked really evolved. It was almost like the more layers I lost at night, the more I became comfortable with myself. I almost think that like me keeping clothes on was the insecurity I was covering. You know what I mean? Naked or seeing my full self in the shower or getting out quickly and then putting clothes back on. It was psychological, but like the more I slept naked and the more I became open to that, the more I was able to shed that energy. But it all started with my mom really pressing me to always be dressed at home. So when you said like, I was taught to not even leave my room and not be put together, I thought about it because that I felt the same way at a certain point. And until I literally lost the clothing, I didn't. I lost the insecurity as well. And so it was like a cycle for me. And so when I look at that post, I think about that, how our parents, even subconsciously sometimes with what they put into us, just pour these insecurities onto us. I have a friend who's the opposite. She's very small. She comes from Caribbean culture. You know, in Caribbean culture, it's embraced to be bigger. So when she's like, you know, they're always saying like, oh, do you eat? Oh, do you eat? And then you start to internalize. And you from the South, where everybody big.
You need some corn. You need to make you some cornbread. You can get some cornbread on them hips, girl. You look with your little skinny self. You ain't eat. They starving you over there. Oh yeah. Because I've been I was 90 pounds in 12th grade. And I've never been more than 115 pounds. That I'm just small. My grandmother was very petite. My mom was very petite. My dad was very petite. Like he's a man. He's like he looks like a man, but he is small bones, like a small guy. And my grandmother was 4'11", so I'm short because she was short, and I've just always been small. And yeah, I was not so much body shamed by my mom, but by my extended family. Like, my aunties and uncles and cousins, when we would go down, to hang out in Alabama for the summer, for 4th of July, for whatever, or even like their friends, like, who's this little skinny girl? Ain't nobody feeding you? Where your mama? Your mama ain't feed you nothing. Here, eat this.
Get some neck.
And then they'll be surprised. Right. Then they would be surprised because I also eat. Now listen, I'll put away a meal. I love food. So then I would eat and they would say, girl, where you put all that food at? Where'd it go? It ain't going nowhere. It's like, you just can't live. So, but then in my house, my mom used to get on my sister. My sister is 9 years younger than me, and she is not big. But she had a lot of acne growing up, and like cystic acne. And my mom became obsessed with her skin and just constantly like, oh God, what are we going to do about this? You need to go to the doctor. And my parents are physicians. So all their friends are physicians. One of my stepdad's best friends is a dermatologist. So my mom was always calling him, what are we going to do about her skin? What are we going to do about this? Then when my sister left, she graduated and left, my mom would still call her and be like, how's your skin doing? What's happening with your skin? What's going on with your skin? And she would also ask questions about her weight. And this was on the show. She asked her on the show, Crystal, how's your weight doing? And my sister is not big at all. She's a normal, regular size, average Black woman. She's maybe 5'6", 5'5", average. I don't know what her average weight. But my mom is like asking her all these questions about her weight, about her skin, and it triggered me. It's like, leave her alone. Let her be. She's not unhealthy. She's her skin is a thing, but it's like, you don't have to obsess over it, because obsessing over it is going to stress her out more. And it got to the point where my sister had to kind of put up a boundary and say, I'm not going to talk about this because I don't need to discuss it with you every 5 seconds. When I need help, when it's time to fill a prescription for Accutane or whatever, we can discuss that. But to constantly be talking about my skin, constantly be asking me about my weight, this is not helpful to me. But again, I definitely feel like it comes from this. And I hate to, shout out to the old Southern Black women. I think it comes from this need to always feel like we have to be put together and look a certain way. I did not want to leave my house without a full face of makeup on for years. I had extreme insecurities about my skin, about my face, about, the way that I looked, just to leave the house to do anything for years. I'm talking about like 7 years ago, I was still dealing with this. And I missed out on appreciating how beautiful my skin was without makeup.
Gorgeous.
Because I was so it was automatic. Like, I can't go anywhere without makeup. I'll tell you a story. I was traveling with the Howard Gospel Choir. We were somewhere in Europe, in Italy, I think. And I used to carry my makeup bag with me everywhere. And one of my friends, or a couple of my friends, as a joke, were like, let's steal her makeup bag. And I had a panic attack. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere until you give me back my makeup. I was so angry because it was like my makeup was like my
shield.
My shield. And I if I didn't have that, I wasn't worthy. I couldn't even look you in the eye without makeup on. I wouldn't look people in the eye. If for whatever reason I had to go out somewhere and I didn't have enough makeup on, or I felt like I just didn't look good, I would look down. I wouldn't look at people. And a lot that came from my house. That came from my house, from the conditioning in my house. And it's like I said, even just in the last like 7 to 10 years, am I coming out of that and now being able to, walk around with nothing on my face, or going out with nothing on my face. That it's still a thing that I deal with. So you definitely take on that burden that is put on you by the people that raised you in your house. That's real.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, like, as far as me, I was the opposite. So it's interesting, like the spectrum of that, because I feel like I was a tomboy because I didn't feel that I had the capacity to be girly, like that I had the capacity to be cute. I was always the girl. I was always the athlete. And again, this is not to bash my mother, but like she put me in sports to lose weight. It was not. It was not because she wanted me to be in social things with everybody else. It was because she wanted me to be like slimmer. And so I found joy in sports and I enjoyed it. I was competitive. But for me, those things were like, it almost made me more insecure. Like I was like, okay, I don't have the capacity. I remember I have a cousin, shout out to Melanie because she listens. And this ain't to hurt your feelings, but she was very girly. She was into makeup. And I remember as a kid, she would constantly try to get me to do more, right? Like to be more girly, right? And I would fight it because I was so insecure with myself. I never felt like no matter what, I would be pretty enough because I was always that girl. And so, she would try and it would just make me feel more shitty, honestly, because I was like, I can't fit that box. I'll never fit because in my mind, I was already told I couldn't be. So people respond that way to me, right? You're the big girl. Like, okay, let's be clear. 5 minutes ago, Lizzo started showing her ass and we started having conversations about body positivity. We weren't talking about that 6 years ago. It was still not cool to be fat. We're just now saying yes to the big girls, okay?
Right.
So like,
and you know who's not saying it? My mom is like, that girl needs to put some clothes on. Why is she always naked? And because for her generation, Lizzo's whole persona is offensive as shit. People are offended by this fat woman being proud of her fat body. And she's not even doing it for me, but it gives me confidence that like if she can be confident in who she is, then everybody should be confident in who they are. We all deserve to own our bodies and own our confidence in the same way that Lizzo does.
All you have to do is go to a beach one time and see an old fat white man. Your confidence should be
go to Europe
off the chart. Okay.
They don't care.
But no, to your point with Lizzo, right? Like she's kind of the martyr of this charge, right? Like she is the face. She is fully bringing it to media in a way that has never been done before. Because let's be real, look at Takara, who was the first plus size model on America's Next Top. Baby don't even have a gut, and she was considered plus size because she wasn't a size 2. She still wasn't even fat. So then when we have Lizzo, who is really a plus size woman, let me not say really, because I'm not trying to take away from the women who are considered plus size, but I do have an issue as a woman in a size 24 who literally, when we talk about body positivity, but it's girls with like no gut who are still socially acceptable but might have a fat ass, and we're calling them thick. No, I'm talking about really women who are, by standards of doctors, obese. Let's talk about it. And, going back to the thing at home, I just feel like when we discuss that, like, again, back then there was no Lizzo. There was nobody to see it. It was not cool to be fat. It was not in. It was not trendy. Nobody was going to the plastic surgeon trying to get more ass. Like if you had it, you had it, and if you didn't, it was weird. You know what I mean? It was all these things, and I just felt like, you know, the more people tried to make me, the more it made me insecure. So the way that you internalized, I have to have makeup to feel this way, I was the complete opposite. There's no way that I can feel this way. So let me not even try. Let me stay in this box. Let me try not. And I also think too, a conversation that a lot of people don't have, a lot of plus size people, a lot of reasons that big people are the funniest people in the room is complete trauma response.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If they're gonna laugh at me, let me make them laugh first. That was me. I buried my humor in trauma. I buried when I was growing up.
You buried your trauma in your humor. In humor. Yeah.
Absolutely. And people don't talk about it enough. That's why, you know, we're watching these comedians off themselves, because it's not about I'm just a genuinely funny person and I like to make people laugh. A lot of comedy comes from pain anyway. It's usually dark, but all of that stemming from, you know, that deep place. Like I grew up very similar to you. Like I had cousins who grew up in the hood and I was in the nice part of town. I remember not being able to identify for a very long time with my cousins who I love very much, but they'd be like, go be with Ashley, go be with Sarah. Yeah. And I always was like, I do not fit in with the people who are supposed to be my tribe. And until I became funny and until everybody saw me as the family comedian, I didn't feel like I belonged in my own family until I identified as that. And then that whole persona spread to the rest of my being. And yes, I'm funny. Yes, I'm naturally inclined. Yes, I'm creative. But again, it stems from a different type of space. And so when we talk about that, like that trauma starting at home, it's very real and it's really deep. And I'm glad that we are the generation who's not afraid to say that therapy is something that we want to do, because I'm not sure if I didn't have a therapist, would I be able to have all these actualizations and be like, oh, this is why, you know, I'm this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how our kids, maybe not ours personally, because we don't know if we haven't them yet, but the children that will come from our generation, how they will process and move through the world being raised by people who think the way that we're thinking in this conversation right now, and how differently you would raise your daughter or your son from your mother, and how differently I would raise my daughter or my son from the way that I was raised. I look forward to a freer, more liberated sense of thinking for the next generation, because but then it's like, how are we going to fuck them up? Because we know what we're going to do differently, but then, you know, it's inevitable. You're going to fuck up your kids somehow. It's just like, if it's not this, it'll be that. If you're going to teach them to love themselves, but then are you going to, you know, make them feel like they got to have a job? I don't know. Like, what are we going to do that's going to fuck them up?
Well, and I also think too, the difference is like, I think our generation is willing to own our shit, right? Like, because you're going to fuck up, right? As a parent, it's inevitable. But I think the conversation that has to steer around that is like apologies. I don't think that my mother has ever said sorry to me for anything. Even when I come forward and say, like, these are the things that you did to me, right? That hurt me. My mom can acknowledge, like, and here's the thing. I've expressed to my mother that, listen, I humanize your experience. Your shit was not easy. Your load was not easy to carry. You did the best that you could. However, within doing the best that you can, there were still bumps along the way. And with that being said, here I am waiting for my acknowledgement of where your load you had to carry from your parents, who are products of slavery.
Yeah.
Who didn't always do anything right. You know, I had a conversation with a Howard professor, and this shit changed my whole perspective about parenting. Probably another reason why I don't want to have kids, because this shit is deep. She said, I give my children choices. a lot of Black parents do not give their children choices. It's what I say, you're going to eat what I tell you. She was like, I give my children choices and I edify them. She was like, have you ever noticed that when you go to school and it's a parent teacher conference and the teacher is telling your parent how well the child is doing, the conversation can quickly go to, well, I wish they would clean up their room like that at home. Well, I wish they would do this. And she said,
this is triggering me.
That stems from slavery, from literally the idea of a slave master coming in and about to pick your child for whatever, rape, manual labor they can't do, whatever, and a slave going, you don't want her. She too she too fat. She don't.
She's lazy.
How deep has that now? We are in 2021 and still talking about how that has now translated to your parent not even being able to say congratulations.
Or I love you, or I'm proud of you.
It's extremely deep. And those are the conversations that I think that when we talk about how we will do things differently, we are not always going to do right. We are literally a victim of our own circumstances, whatever they may be. And we have to then deem what is wrong. If your child is coming to you saying something you said hurt my feelings or something you did, I think the difference between us and our parents is the acknowledgement and hopefully the changed behavior. Hopefully. And that's how we move, you know?
I think there was a fear or an acknowledgement that if, as the parent, I acquiesce to what it is that my child is saying, essentially asking for an apology or even just an acknowledgement of what was done, then I'm giving my power away. I'm giving my power to my child. And I think there was this sense or this need, at least in my house, to wield this power and to have this hierarchy be understood, that I'm the parent and you are the child. And you do what I say because this is my house and these are my rules and I pay the bills and I feed you and I clothe you. So they didn't have the capacity to apologize or acknowledge you because that's acquiescing power. That's giving away their power. And you can't have apologies happen, but them still exist in this role as the parent, because parent meant power.
And meant always right.
And always right. No matter what. Always right. And that, oh my God, the way that my aunties, my mom's aunts would try to tell me, you don't argue with your mom. You just say, okay, and you leave the room. You don't, you let your mom be right. Your mom is right because she raised you. And it's like, wait, because she raised me, she can't ever be wrong?
I can't ever be disrespected? Because the bottom line is the human, and someone on Twitter had said something along the lines of, you can't look at your children as not humans. You can't take your role as a parent overseeing them as humans with emotions, who have wants, who are valid in their experience, even though they're children. And that's very real. I remember having a conversation with my cousin when I was younger. Me and my mom had always had a very tumultuous relationship. We had never, it was good, and then one day it just wasn't for until now. And I remember being mad about something. And my cousin told me, well, no matter what happens, you always have to respect your mom because, like, she's your mom. And I said to her, okay, but if she's my mom and I have to respect her, why in turn can I not be respected as well?
Because you're the child, and children, you don't need respect. You're just a kid.
You don't get a second. And so, like, that is the balance, right? Like of the parenting thing. And I think that's why you and I are on that same page about children. I want to wait till I have a little bit more of myself in control. Like, again, I learned in therapy, little Leah shows up a lot. My childhood self and the things that I want and the way I respond things that shows up in so many different avenues of my life. And when that takes over, or there's feelings that I feel like I can't control, or I'm very triggered by something, then I'm like, shit, how can I not bring this to a child? And I have not conquered this myself. You're never going to be ready to have a child, but when you think about those things, it's scary because you don't want to put onto the next generation what has been put onto you.
Yep. That is literally what keeps me up at night, no lie, when thinking about being a parent and what kind of parent I want to be, is not repeating some of the things that have been put onto me and essentially failing my child. Like I don't want to come at them in a way that they're going to realize later that was fucked up, or that messed me up, or that caused me to have anxiety, or to have an insecurity about my body or about my skin or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah. It's just like a hard battle. But you know what? There's one thing that, it started at home. And since we're, talking about it, I heard through the grapevine. Well, actually, I saw that there is a little meme online about you that is going to start this.
Oh my God.
The meme says, they said you could make a drinking game out of how many times Candiace pulled out her tissue on Real Housewives of Potomac. And we know you're about to be in the new season. So I thought that we should bring somebody on the show who can speak to these things, unpack a little bit of what we got going. No, you didn't pull out a tissue.
Listen, okay, you all are going to get all of these magical black tears and me dabbing this tissue into my magical black tear duct and be okay with it. And that's just going to be the end of that, because that's what we're doing.